started as a side gig, and now it's more than a full-time job. So it's become a lifestyle. So I've got married to my wife now for 8 years. This year we celebrated 4 dogs. She officially joined the company about 2 months ago. Left her career in the nursing field to join on board. And anybody who's listening to this who is familiar with at the last top contractor meetup knows that she is the total boss of the company now. She just came in and took it over.
Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, the show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real world stories of success. I might need to redo that one. I'm Bill Ryman, your broker builder. I'm here with my co-host
Nate Swink. What's up, Bill? Are you nervous?
No, man, I just drank a lot of coffee right in a row there, so I don't know, something went wrong there, but there's no nerves.
It's all that greatness behind you in that picture making you nervous.
That is the two greats right there, the GOATs that Nate didn't even know who they were. Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali. Anyway, it's that antique behind you, that Coca-Cola antique baby picture. Beautiful.
Hey, come on.
Let's go. Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. We appreciate each and every one of you guys that tune in each and every week. You all know the routine. Before we get started, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Take the time to share it with your friends and family. It goes a long way. We appreciate the comments you guys have been doing on social media to Nate and I. Keep them coming. We want to answer them in future shows, just like we did on the last episode. We're posting a lot of good content on this show and having a lot of great guests, which we have one today for you. But before we get into that, Nate, what's this show all about?
Yes, sir. So on the Top Contractor School, we highlight 3 different styles of episodes. Episode 1 is where we do a deep dive into a specific topic. Episode 2 is where we bring on an expert in a specific field. We have one today. He's an expert, if not by his own accord, by our accord. He's an expert. And the third style is construction news. So let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on then. That's all Nate has. So Daniel Wright, welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast. Man, I can't talk today. How you doing today?
Well, hopefully I'm talking better than you are, but
yeah,
no, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a long time coming, so it's
we appreciate having you, man. It has been a long time coming. You are killing it with your company. We both seen the growth. We're going to get into that a little bit today with you as well. But before we dive into it, just talk about who you are, where you're from, what you do, your company a little bit. Tell the people who is Daniel Wright.
Yeah. So I am down in Charlotte, North Carolina. I do everything pavement maintenance. So the company's Prine. Had it for 7 years now, and we've been growing quite a bit, offering new services, growing the team, building out our whole company there. Started as a side gig, and now it's more than a full-time job. So it's become a lifestyle. So I've got married to my wife now for 8 years. This year we celebrated 4 dogs. She officially joined the company about 2 months ago. Left her career in the nursing field to join on board. And anybody who's listening to this who is familiar with at the last top contractor meetup knows that she is the total boss of the company now. She just came in and took it over. But no, it's a running joke that we have, but it's a blast having her on board now too. So we're just continuing to grow and just build out what we can build out. So it's a lot of fun.
Get into it a little bit more about Proline and what you guys offer. Just talk about that a little bit and how you got started in the actual industry. Like what made you go into, paving, and what made you get into your industry? Why'd you choose it?
Yeah, so the 20-floor elevator pitch is basically I was a full-time fireman. I did that for 6 years. And long story short, Kelsey was in nursing school. So I was the primary person providing income for our house. We just got married. And the guy who started Proline, his name is Craig. We're still really good friends today. He was a fireman also, worked with me. Well, he got promoted, didn't have time to run the side business anymore. So he came to me and said, "Hey, you seem to like to work a lot. You've got a lawn care company. You work another part-time job. You want to get into a parking lot company." I'm like, "I don't know what that is." So I did some research on it, talked with Kelsey about it, and we decided to go ahead and pull the trigger on it. And at the time, it was just a striping company. So it just painted the lines in the parking lots, is all it was. So the business came with the name, one trailer, and one machine to paint the lines. So at that time, like I bought it from him in August of 2016. And so 2017 was my first full year of owning and operating the company. Absolutely, killed it. We did great. I had no idea what I was doing, but we figured it out along the way. By the end of, by about spring of 2017, I sold my landscaping company I had for the same price as I bought Proline for. So that was a nice even swap there. By the end of 2017, I left the part-time fire department I was working at. And then by 2018, when Kelsey graduated nursing school, got a job at a local doctor's office as an RN. And I left my full-time job as a fireman. So I jumped into this full-time. So since spring of 2018 is what we've been doing full-time here. And as it kind of progressed, like 2018 was when we started getting into seal coating parking lots. So we added that service. And then 2019 and 20 is when we started getting into a little bit more of working with other like paving partners and concrete partners and stuff like that to just offer more services under one umbrella. We started having clients that needed more than just their parking lot painted or just a pothole patched. So we started just kind of branching out and learning that. And truthfully, I mean, through this isn't obviously a plug for TCS, but like through the TCS network, I learned about how to grow a business working with other partners in the area and not just all relying on ourselves. So that opened up a lot of opportunities, a lot of just new avenues of things for us to explore. So, and here we are today. I think we've got 15 people on staff, and I think including myself. So we're like 15 or 16. Handful of those in operations, handful of them in admin and sales, and just continuing to grow and branch out.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe that might have been 23 floors. Sorry.
Yeah, that was a couple floors too much, but that's okay. So as entrepreneurs, right, we have to have so many different skills. So what would you say your main skill is? Like, where do you shine? What's your main role?
I would say, I mean, right now it's become more about the ability to think bigger. Back in about, I think it was 2020 or 2021, I started really embodying that phrase of just think bigger and just continue to think bigger, think bigger, think bigger, because I was always so limited. I was always so much of like, okay, well, what can I do? Or what can me and a couple of helpers do, or things like that. And then as I've continued to grow myself personally, I've realized that my own like fulfillment and happiness and purpose comes from helping other people build their lives and develop themselves professionally, personally, things like that. Well, the only way I can do that is by thinking bigger, right? And so, what I've been having to do as the entrepreneur, as the owner of the company, the visioneer of the company, is to have that bigger vision, like that bigger mentality of what can we do? What can we accomplish? And also, how can we do it? What things would have to be in place to make it happen. So, but I've only been able to step into that light because we've built out a team that can handle the day-to-day things. So I'm not having to do all the doing all the time. I can step into that position to really excel in the thinking bigger and casting that vision on what we're supposed to be doing. So I know that's not necessarily like a direct answer to like a hard skill of like what a top skill is. I mean, I could say that I'm detail oriented, or I'm good at talking with clients and communicating and things like that, but I don't really see those as my day to day things as much anymore.
No, I love that. I mean, because that is business, that is growing businesses. You have to think bigger. You have to think about the bigger picture ahead, and for your employees too. And going into that, I actually pulled something from your social media on that topic too. Funny you said that, because You posted this before. You said, I believe one of my purposes for existing on this earth is to be able to use my talents and gifts to positively impact those in my life, directly and indirectly. The only way the only way that this will happen is if I take down the walls and let them in. So listen to that, man. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes, go.
Yeah. So I know exactly what post you're talking about. The last part is what brought it home, because I was having to think. I was like, man, that's been a minute since I posted that. But
Mm-hmm. Had to
that one,
dig deep.
honestly, like, do what?
I had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah, you were really really creeping on the social. But no, that one actually came. So what it was is I've always had this mentality that I have to keep my life separate from my business life. Like my home life, my personal life, like what I do in my time is separate from what I do as a professional. And it was a time where a guy named Marvin Joles, people in the asphalt industry know him. I know the TCS folks know him. He was in town doing some business stuff, and I invited him over to my house. And I hadn't really ever had any other like contractors or like peers from different like networking groups or things like that come to my home. I've had people come to my business and we come here, we hang out, whatever it may be, but actually to come sit in my home on my back porch, around my table, share a drink together, some snacks, some meals, things like that. I'd never had that happen. And the weirdest thing though was like I didn't think it was okay to do that because I was like, oh, this is my business friend. We do business together. We talk business together. And I realized like after that evening when he came over, I was like, man, like this is what it's all about. Like this is where relationships are built and nurtured and expanded upon is you let them in. Like you just let people in your life because oftentimes they've either gone through it, are going through it, or are going to go through it, whether it's as a man, a husband, a father, a business owner, a friend, whatever it may be. And that's really what the whole foundation of making an impact on people is building relationships with them.
Hmm.
You can't make an impact on anybody if you don't build a relationship, but you can't build a relationship if you don't let them in. So that's it was kind of at that point I really started to lean into being more transparent about my life or things that I struggle with or am doing good at, being like, hey, it's okay to talk about something we're winning at too. So that is something that has kind of been a little bit of a catalyst for leaning into letting people in, being more transparent, and in turn making a bigger impact by having those relationships.
Yeah, no, man, I love that too. I think it's something I've struggled with too. Like at first, I didn't let everybody in, and I also didn't. Um, there was a lot that was held in. I kind of was on my own. I think I learned it more from, my past, my dad, stuff like that. Like old school mentality was, you don't need anybody. You're on your own. You can figure it out. You run the business yourself. Kind of everything flows through you too, and kind of getting away from that mentality and going out and finding groups like TCS, Arte, stuff like that, meeting new people, learning from them, learning how new business is done. It has opened up a whole new world. I mean, we're busier than we ever have been, kind of like yourself. And it's through the connections with people and friendships and letting people in, like the group like TCS, for example, the meetups and getting around people that are similar in mindset and all that kind of stuff too just drives you as well too. So talk about that a little bit too, just the group mentality of it, the community aspect of it, and how being a part of a community has really helped you. You touched on it earlier, with TCS and how it's kind of helped pave the way for your business and learn more and so on, but get into that a little bit more.
Yeah. It's something that I tell a lot of people about whenever, people ask about TCS or all these events that I go to or these conferences or retreats or whatever we're at. And I tell people all the time, I don't have a lot of real friends in Charlotte, but I got a lot of virtual friends across the country, and yeah, it sounds silly or whatever. But it's true. I mean, you guys have all become real friends over the years. You know, in a way that I will schedule time and go out of my way to make sure I can see people if I'm in their area. Or I mean, heck, Nate's been over to our office. You know, I think it was last year you came by. You happened to be in town, seeing some family, and you came over, and we got to enjoy an afternoon together.
Yeah.
But the community that TCS offers is something that is, uh, in my opinion, pretty difficult to find because it's full of just real people doing real shit like every day. And that's just what it is. You know, people just doing life, doing business, building friendships and relationships, and everyone is willing to help each other, even if it is just offering a perspective or a listening ear or whatever it may be. It's just a community that is willing to rally around people. I mean, one of the examples recently is someone had a foreman quit in the middle of a job, and there was probably like 8 people planning, like getting ready to load up and head to Ohio to go help pave a parking lot that needed done. And this person was brand new to TCS, but that just goes to show like what kind of people are already in the organization, is that they're just willing to help, you know. And that's, it's something that provides a lot of knowledge, a lot of value, support. You know, one of the things that isn't really talked about a lot is that, you know, entrepreneurship and business ownership, business owners and entrepreneurs are a minority of the population. So to find other people who can relate to what we go through on a day-to-day basis is very difficult. Because if you go walk down the street or walk down the aisle at the grocery store, the majority of people you're going to see are employees of organizations. There's nothing wrong with being an employee, but they can't relate to what we go through as business owners. So to have this group of guys and girls that are all going through similar things at similar times, it just provides like that, almost like that unspoken comfort that like, okay, they, someone else can help me if I run into a problem. So, you know, people ask me, you know, because there for a while, you know, Brian, who started the organization, he was kind of the face of it, of TCS. And over the last couple of years, like that's grown to have other people represent the organization. But for a while, people would ask me like, "Well, what's great about Brian and TCS?" I'm like, "Well, Brian's a great guy because he put the organization together. He's a smart dude, hard worker, everything like that." I said, "But the value of TCS comes from the network of the people who are in it. Like that's what you get by being a part of it. It's not just one person who provides all the value. It's the network of the people that have that combined intellectual knowledge that can help, you know, distribute it."
Yeah, and I think being a part of that, brushing on what you said there a little bit too, is you got so many people on so many different levels of business too, and you're chasing it. You want it yourself as well. I talked about this on a past episode. Like I'm chasing after Brian. I want to do, I'm seeing what he's doing, and I want the same. We all are, but he's actually doing it. He's walking the walk. He's doing that stuff that he needs to do. And he talked about that. I think it was on the last call too. He's like, I got to keep going because I know some of you are right behind me and I don't want you guys to pass me. So, and it's like you see stuff like that, and it leads to like, look at all the video content that's going out right now with people that never were doing video. We've all done video for a while now, but then there's a lot of members in the group that wouldn't even touch it. Now you're starting to see them in video and doing video, and getting comfortable with it too, because they see everybody else doing it. They're like, okay, I can do it too. So it's having that group of people that pushes you to that next level that is such a difference maker too, and it helps you with your team as well. Like, I see you, going when I was creeping on your social media, I see you with your team doing stuff all the time, posting pictures with your team. It's just making them a part of what you do. So talk about that a little bit more with people that struggle with that aspect of things, getting their team more involved in social, online, getting them on social media, in pictures and videos and stuff like that. Because I personally, I could probably get quite a few of my team members to do it, but I have some that won't touch video. They don't even want to be on our website. I had to sneak a picture of my superintendent standing, and I said, "Yep, there's your website picture. Sorry, gotcha." So talk about that a little bit of how you're doing that, because you're doing a really good job at it.
Well, thank you. A lot of our team is younger, right? So a lot of them live on social media, and that's what they do. That's how they communicate. That's how they live their lives. So the fact about, posting things, whether it's pictures, videos, whatever it may be, it's not so much like getting them to do it. Now we have guys who they don't like to be on camera. We just
Mm-hmm.
recently brought on an in-house media person to go out and capture content on the job sites with the crews, things like that. And he's told me, he's like, yeah, a couple of guys definitely don't like to be on the camera, but they'll do it. Like they'll answer the questions, they'll talk, whatever it may be. But honestly, man, like we try to make sure that when we put this stuff out, that we're doing it in a way to highlight the individuals, so we want to make like we want to make parking lot work sexy again. We want to make it attractive. We want to make it that like people see it and they say, hey, we want to join your team and be a part of this. Yeah, it looks like the work they're doing may be hard, but it looks like they've got good people there, or they're having a good time, or they're laughing, or they're, whatever it may be, they're being productive. So different things like that. I mean, like JJ is, our operations manager. He was one who really took the bull by the horns when I said, "Hey, we need to start getting some content from job sites when I can't be out there." So he said, "Okay, never done this before. Hey, it's JJ with Proline. We're out here doing this and that, blah blah blah." So it's really just explaining why we're doing what we do. And let's face it, I don't care who the person is. If they go home in the evening and they're sitting at home, whether it's with their spouse, their kids, their mom, their girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it may be, and they're scrolling on social media, and all of a sudden their company page comes up and it highlights them. And it's not, it's not a bad picture. We make sure that like people like don't look like goofballs or anything like that when we're posting stuff. It's a good picture to like really highlight a person. Everybody's gonna be proud of that. Everybody's going to be proud of that and enjoy seeing that. Their family members and friends are going to enjoy seeing that. So it's really a way to give everybody just a platform to just kind of show their family and friends in the world just what they do. I think so many people go to work, at the 30-story buildings in downtown, and they sit in their cubicle all day, they type away, and they go home. And nobody actually knows what the heck they do. But that's where they spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week working. So why would you not want, like, if you have a job that you don't want to be highlighted, that you don't want people to know what you do, you probably need a new job. But if you have a job that you like and that you're proud of, you want people to know about it. So we want to show that, like, hey, this is what we do here. We work hard. We have young people here. We have middle-aged people here. We have people of different backgrounds, things like that. Like, it's just a blend of individuals that come here to all work for the same common mission. And honestly too, Bill, like a lot of it comes from just leading by the front, leading by
Mm-hmm.
example. And if I'm not willing to get out there on video, if I'm not willing to get out there and post stuff, then I can't expect anyone else to do it. Now I'm not going to sit and literally by force make people do videos. Like that's not what we're going to do, but we want to do that. We want to give everybody the chance to just be highlighted. We've heard it said before in TCS a lot. If you don't have a hiring problem, you have a marketing problem. So if your marketing and your advertising includes your team and your staff and things like that, showing who's there, what they're doing, that's going to help with recruiting also.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of times where people call us, they talk to Amanda in our office, Amanda or Kate in our office to get the information. Then they'll talk to either myself or Brandon to get an estimate. And then they'll have one of the 8 crew guys going out to do the job. So if people see us on social media, at least they can put faces with names, because it's not always going to be necessarily the same person coming out. But if they saw Mason on a video and they know Mason's our crew lead or whatever it is, and they say, "Oh yeah, I saw you. Like I trust this guy because I saw what he was doing online." He's going to come out here, and it helps build trust with your team also. So yeah, we don't hide behind the machines and the trucks on the job sites. There's some contractors who they want to fly under the radar, and that's not us. We want to blow the radar up. Like we want everybody to see
Love
who we
that.
are and what we're doing.
Love that. Nate, what do you got on that too? Because you've talked about. I mean, you do a good job with incorporating the team, especially with a lot of your content too. Touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think in the beginning, everybody has reservations of getting on video. So I don't want to say that we force anyone to be on video, but we definitely push them to be on video, right? Like the first time our videographers at the office or at a job site, some of the new guys might be like, And then I'll go talk to them or somebody will, and it's like, hey, you get a pass this time, but next time this is not an option. This is part of the culture. This is part of the expectation. This is what we do. We're a company. We're cutting edge. We're innovative. We're on social media. We're doing marketing. And this is it. That's the bottom line, right? And you get people really to come out of their shell. And the beauty of it is the stories that they say, man. Some of the stuff that they say is actually inspirational. Like I had a guy, Poncho, who was featured last week. To be honest, I've never even had a full conversation with the guy because he speaks only Spanish and broken English. But we did a video where one of my employees interviewed him and they translated it to Spanish or English and showed it on the screen. And I was like touched, man. I was like, dude, what he just said totally embodies who he is. And I only know this guy based on the brief things that him and I can understand when we interact because I don't speak Spanish, but I see how he moves, how he walks, how he works. And then I watched that video, dude, and I almost got teary-eyed. I was like, this is him, man. This is totally him. And I felt like I got to get to know the guy too because I can't have a full-on conversation with him, you know? And it was cool. And I think that's what it's about. It's about bringing people out of their shell and helping expand the impact, right? You're not the only one who's going to make an impact. You can use your whole team to help make an impact, right? Because they've experienced things you haven't. So they're going to affect and impact someone else differently. So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I talked about it in our last team meeting to our team about possibly setting up, probably going to, not possibly setting up like a studio. We have this front part of our office, maybe making it into a smaller studio with a couple mics and just having them on different discussion topics about what they do and highlighting them. And majority of them were all for it. They're like, oh yeah, that'd be awesome too. So I was kind of shocked, you know, thinking, because you're thinking that, yeah, they're never on video, but then they see you on video because all of them follow me on social media. It's like you said, Daniel, you know, if you walk the walk, you lead, they're going to follow suit and want to be a part of it too, and be a part of building the company and the culture and everything above. So I love that whole topic with it. Nate, I know you wanted to get into something with Daniel too, systems, processes. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So that's when I asked you what your niche is, what your superpower as an entrepreneur is. That's what I see in you is like super system driven, like the way your brain thinks. You can organize things very efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of dive in that and give the audience a plug on maybe some of your secrets, some of your methods, and how they can practically and quickly implement that. Just kind of bite-sized, consumable things that they can implement right away.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Nate, I mean, that's something you and I actually have talked a lot about. I mean, we've had conversations about systems and processes and how we do things and how you do them. So, um, systems scale, right? So we've all heard it said before, systems scale. So if you want to build the company and build the organization, you have to have systems because the people are only capable of so much. Like a human being is only capable of doing so much, but a system can grow to however big you want it to be. Because if you have a system that you follow that you can plug a capable and qualified person into, it just grows and you can do more of it and you can get the same results and be way more efficient at what you're getting done. So it's not to say that every time that the systems that we have in place, you know, there is the human element to it, right? That people are free thinkers and have errors or different ideas, better ideas, things like that. But the systems we have in place are really solid guidelines. It's funny you brought up the systems because as we're trying to continue growing the company and really getting it ready for like the next stage of what's to come, I've been really drilling down on the systems and processes because they have to be duplicatable, right? They have to be like something that can be multiplied. And JJ, our operations manager, he always gives me crap. He's like, Daniel, this isn't a simulation. Like this is real life. We're human beings. Like it's not always going to be exactly how you say it's going to be. I'm like, but it will, you know, but we will do it this way. And that's just, I said, I'm good with a 98% simulation and I'll allow 2% human error. because like there's gonna be the human aspect of it, but I want it to be almost a 98% simulation that you can plug a person in, teach them what they need to know, and then get the results. Like that's what a company has to do. If you look at some of the biggest companies in the world, McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, any of these huge organizations, they have systems that just get followed. And you either follow the system and get the results, or you don't follow the system and don't have a job. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Like it just is
Yeah.
what it
So
is.
how do you balance it? We're gonna get into it here, baby. Let's go. How do you balance systems and still encouraging your people to free think? Because you made those three examples: McDonald's, Walmart, but without offending anybody watching this. Now, never mind. No one watches this who works at McDonald's or Walmart. Who am I kidding? Those people that work there aren't free thinkers. They're not the cream of the crop, if you know what I mean. They're kind of, welcome to Walmart. You're like, all right. So how do you encourage free thinkers? Oh, you're killing me. Free thinkers and implement the system, because there's got to be a big balance there.
So it's a fantastic question, and JJ's really good about this with the guys in the operations team. Here's our system with how we do this. Here's the result that we need to achieve, right? If you want to follow this system until you hit a point where you're like, maybe I can do something a little bit differently, but still get to the same result, you're welcome to try that. But if you screw it up, you better have an explanation of why you went outside the process or the system. Or if you do it well and you get the result we want, then you better share it with the rest of the team. Because if it helps continue to grow, like one of our core values is always learning. So we have to make sure that we are continuing to progress and to grow and innovate and develop. So it's one of those things that, like, yes, we have things that we require systems and processes to be followed and boxes to be checked and things to be done. But we also have a requirement for people to be willing to continuously grow and learn and develop. So it's really just treading that fine line. And honestly, Nate, there's going to be people, like you said, there's going to be people who are better at, like, they just want to check the boxes. They don't want to think and to grow and to innovate. And that's okay too. You got to have people who are willing to do that. They're the ones that oftentimes are like your tried and true team members, that they show up every day. You know exactly what you're going to expect out of them, what you're going to get out of them. And they're just good, reliable people, and they're happy. They're grateful for what opportunity they have. And then there's other people who want to figure out how to build the boxes to check. Mm-hmm. And those are the people who are going to push the envelope on the systems, push the envelope on the processes. And in my opinion, every good business has to have each type of people. You have to have people, who are willing to be entrepreneurs, work within the bounds of the business and within the boundaries that you set and the guidelines, but they want to build within that. They need to push the systems and processes. Brian says it a lot. If your processes and systems aren't breaking, you're not growing. Like I feel like we've broken processes and systems every week this year, but it's because we're just growing and we're encountering new things, new obstacles, new things that we just haven't come across before. Now I have to figure out new ways to take care of them. So when you get new people in, like when Kelsey came into the business a couple months ago, she had all sorts of questions about our processes and systems. She had no background in any of this. She's an intelligent individual that can think and analyze things. So she had questions.
Careful. You got to sleep with her tonight.
I know. We got a king size bed. I got my own side if I need it. But she asked questions that challenged the system, that challenged what we were doing. And I mean, one of the examples is like she asked a question on like our sales process, on how we did our pipeline and stuff. It worked, but it was not very efficient in like tracking everything. Like things were getting lost in the cracks. Like we would check a box off and it would disappear into the abyss of checked off boxes. So all those leads and those sales we were getting in and estimates we were sending out were just kind of sitting there. So she asked a question. She's like, well, what about this feature in the program? And like, how would it work for that? Well, she built this whole thing out, and I shit you not, within like 2 weeks, we closed like $60,000 in sales that I literally looked at. I'm like, I probably wouldn't have closed those because I wouldn't have had this process and system in place. So she broke what we had. We built something better, and then we got better results because of it. But like I said, she's somebody who doesn't just want to show up and be told what to do and go home every day. She likes to think and develop and create. So that's where we offer that type of position for that type of person. And then we have the positions where, hey, I just need you to come in and handle this job, complete these tasks, and you are good. Like you are winning your day if you do these things. So it's just finding that balance. And honestly, man, I think people go through different phases of life. Some people, if they maybe have a lot going on at home, they just want to come in and check the boxes and go home. And they're happy because they have a lot to deal with outside of work. Other people who are trying to figure out their purpose in life and want to make their way and make a name for themselves, they want to come in and create something. They want to build something. And if I can give them the platform and the runway to do that, then I'm happy because it's going to help everybody in the process. So that's kind of how we find the balance between, not suppressing people and their creative abilities, but also making sure processes and systems are still being followed.
Well,
So
you're giving
those,
people
those are our fail safes.
you're giving people opportunity within your company to progress, to help build the company, help build the vision. It's like you led with what you first said was think bigger, right? So you're allowing them to think bigger, think outside the box, and help create things within your business. I have the same thing within ours. I have employees that they like to come in, check the boxes, just kind of do their thing, get their job done, but they need the systems to help them. We just discovered that because we have quite a few more houses than we usually do going on right now, and we needed to create more systems in place to help them do their jobs more efficiently, like you just talked about. Then I have other employees that are always coming up with new ideas, different things that we can implement. It's like when my wife first came into our office. She's obviously staying home now with the baby, but when she first came in, it was a mess, man, with the selection side of things, binders with papers everywhere, just a mess. And she just took it and ran, man, and like created her own way of doing it. And I told her that too. I was like, you're gonna have to create your own way because the old way ain't working. It was a cluster. It was just, the way the last person ran it, it just was not good. It wasn't efficient. So she went in there, cleaned up half the paper, cut it down, still kept notebooks, kept everything on the iPad too, with selections per client, kept all the samples in a section too. It was just so organized, so clean. And we were all just like, wow. But setting up that system, pass it on to the next girl once Liz left, and now Kelly has that system. And I told Kelly, I go, if you can figure out a way to do it more efficiently than Liz did, go right ahead and do it. It's all yours. You come up with whatever you need. We're here for you. We're here to support you. I mean, the last request she had was a secondary computer monitor so she could have blueprints up, this and that. Boom, got her one that day. So it's always just doing these things, like you said, to boost your employees, make them want to be a part of the business and keep pushing forward too. So I love what you said there, man, for sure.
Yep. The biggest thing though, when you're wanting to create that runway and that platform for them to build on, is making sure that the end goal is clear. Like the expectation of the end result is clear. That's something that I got to speak on when talking about goal setting and strategy at the last meetup. Was kind of like start with the end in mind. Hey, this is what we need to achieve, but how we get there may change. You may have a way to get there, you may have a way to get there, and that's okay as long as we're communicating and we're like going towards the same common goal. So that's yeah, man, that's what people want. They don't want to come to work and be micromanaged. They want to come to work to earn a living, but also to contribute and be part of something.
And it's repeating that same common goal over and over and over, just so they hear it. They want to continue to repeat it. I do it every single week, every single meeting. I say, this is where we're going. This is where we're all going to be. You guys keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, everybody's doing amazing. Go over to things that we can do better on and change and blah, 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 so, but it's always constantly telling that goal, sharing that goal too. That was one thing I got. Ed Milet would always say that too. Just repurpose that goal over and over and over, and it's stuck with me for forever now. So, another thing, Nate, you got any more questions on systems processes? I know you had quite a few on that.
No, that was it.
All right, good to move forward then on that. I mean, everything we've talked about though kind of stems into thinking bigger, your bigger picture, like you originally stated too. So advice to somebody starting a business, somebody currently in business struggling, somebody that's kind of going through hell, what would you say? How can they think bigger? What should they be doing to advance their business? What advice would you give them?
Well, there's a lot of different avenues we could go down on that one right there.
We'll go down them all. We got time. It's a Top Contractor podcast.
Hey, speak for yourself, man. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, Nate's got a baby on the way, actually, almost here. So
Yeah. No, I think as far as advice goes for people trying to grow a business, I think one of the things I've learned is finding yourself a group, a network of people that you can surround yourself with who are either going where you want to go or are where you want to go. Because being surrounded by people who are going there with you is just as valuable as having a group of people who are already there, right? So you can learn from the people who've gone before you, but you can also travel that journey with the people who are on it at the same time. That's going to be the biggest thing, because if you get that and you have a network available to you of insight, wisdom, feedback, cautions, things like that, all your problems, your struggles, all that shit will work itself out. As long as you use that network. So if you find that network of people, like we've talked about with TCS, like that's what we have here. Bill builds homes, Nate welds steel, and I do parking lots. None of us do the same trades at all, but we're all chasing a same common goal, and that's growth. That's personal, professional development, building opportunity for other people, changing our industries, so on and so forth. And we get to travel this together. And so that's the biggest thing that I tell anybody who's like trying to build a business, or they're asking like, oh, well, what's worked for you or this or that. We could go down the systems and processes hole. We could go down a sales hole. We could go down all this stuff, right? Like the tangible hard things to do. But the fact of having a network of people that you're able to surround yourself with who can help get you to where you're trying to go, that's invaluable. And it will ultimately resolve all of your problems.
one thing one thing I've always seen in you, that I and what TCS calls, and you're really good at too, is you're always willing to give. You're not just taking from people, and you're always willing to give constructive criticism. You're always willing to, and it's not you're brutal to anybody or anything like that, but you say your opinion. You're not afraid to say your opinion, but it's you give it to them because you have the knowledge of it too. So you're giving, you're not just taking from a group too. And I've seen that in you quite a bit with TCS and the calls and stuff like that. So I commend you on that. And I think that goes for, everybody needs to do that, because a lot of people have a mentality, with business and so on too. They just want to take, they just want to get what they can out of it. They don't want to give back. And this goes, to back to your original concept of thinking bigger, and you got into it about your team and giving back and so on, and just like the thing I read from your Facebook as well. um let's talk about that a little bit to wrap this up, man, because you do a really good job at that. You're always giving. You're always willing to give people good constructive criticism too. So touch on that a little bit and how you've helped people.
So, yeah. So that is, like you said, you see it in TCS. I have always been the one that challenges everything. If you ask my mom, when I was little, she could have swore I was going to be an attorney because I argued with everything and everyone. Like that's all I did. And I just kept arguing and kept pushing and kept doing things like that. I've learned to a degree, to keep some of that under control. But I'll be honest, Jay Duran, who you guys all know, I mean, he helps with TCS and works with Prine and stuff. He had sent me something after our spring meetup up in Pittsburgh, and basically he, because he does a lot of observation and kind of just like thinking about things and whatnot, right? And he said, he said, Daniel, he said, one of the things you bring to the group is that you're willing to be a contrarian. Not a contrarian in a negative light that you're just trying to literally just argue with everything for the sake of arguing, but you're doing it in a way to ask earnest questions and to build people and to challenge their thinking to help them grow. He said,
Mhm.
you know, every organization, every group needs people like that to challenge it and to push back, because if you don't, then you just become stagnant. So to your point, Bill, about, you know, giving to groups and to, you know, networks and things like that, a lot of people say, well, man, I'm brand new at business. What do I have to offer? I can only take because I'm trying to learn everything. Well, honestly, asking questions offers a lot, because if
Yeah.
you're just sitting there listening to someone tell you how to build a system and process, and you aren't able or willing to ask a question and say, well, yeah, but why does that work? Like, that doesn't really make any sense to me. You know, think about the stuff that you're taking in and then spit back what it means to you. Does it make sense? Because you're either going to, one, solidify for that person the advice they're giving, or two, make them correct it, and they're going to realize, oh, maybe I do have a hole in this system or this process.
Mhm.
So any do what?
I was gonna. So a thought that popped in my head when you said that would definitely get rid of most of the internet business gurus if people would do that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, well, and that's why they don't have the type of freaking, you know, network and the atmosphere that we have. That's why they don't
Yep.
have, you know, organizations that allow people like me in there to challenge things. You know, so like the fact that Brian's put up with me for the last, I don't know how many years I've been part of TCS. Like, I applaud him for that. We can put the clapping sounds in there for that. But
Yeah, how do we hang on? Let's throw that in. See if I can. And stop.
but no, like the fact that a leader of an organization is willing to bring in people who are going to push the status quo and challenge the norms, that says a lot about the leadership, because it means they're willing to grow, they're willing to try and to take on new things that maybe isn't comfortable for them. So it's just being able to give back to an organization and to your peers comes in all different forms and fashions, whether it's giving the advice, you know, offering connections, you know, asking questions, whatever it may be. It comes in all different ways.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I commend you on it too. You do a really good job at it. You drop a lot of knowledge within the group too. You're challenging things. Like I said, I go, it's not a it's not a bad thing at all. Like I appreciate it being in a group and having somebody challenge it. I'm willing to challenge things too, that I don't agree on. Nate is too, and no, but I with you too, you have a great ability of doing it as well, but you do it with knowledge back behind it. You're not just doing it to do it. So
Well,
just
sometimes I'm
want to
just winging it, but you know, it is what
yeah,
it is.
yeah. But like you said, every group needs it, man. Every you know, if it was all just the same over and over, the group couldn't build. Like you just said, it couldn't get bigger, it couldn't get better. So like I say, I appreciate you on that one too. But let's wrap it up. You know, we're going on almost an hour here. Let's wrap it up with this question. We talked about TCS. How has the group influenced you and helped your business overall? Let's wrap it up on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say overall, it's just helped with the ability to just think bigger. You know, to see what other people are doing, how they're doing things, um, being a little bit more fearless, you know, of what we're going and chasing after. I feel I feel a lot more confident in taking more risks and taking on more things, knowing that I've got this group as support. Um, you know, we're, like you said, we're all at different levels. Like, there's people who we're chasing, there's people, you know, who we just respect and admire what they're building. Like, I have no desire to go build homes, but I respect everything that you're doing in building homes. Like, I have no desire to weld steel, but I respect it and I like the hustle. I think it's exciting of what you're doing, and it's an attraction. Like, it keeps building, you know, momentum and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, because it feeds off of each other. And then when somebody's having a problem, that momentum pulls them right on up and helps them just get back into the groove of it. You know,
Mm.
there's been times that our Wednesday calls that I don't want to get on there because things are not going good, right? Whether it's personally, professionally, whatever it is. And I'm like, man, I do not want to get on a screen in front of these, you know, 15, 20 people, whatever it is, and just pretend like things are good. But I tell you what, after every time I get off of one of those calls, I always feel better about things. Not because people make me feel better, but because it just reminds me that, hey, you know what? Like, I got a group of people we're doing this shit with.
Mhm.
And there's been times I've gotten off those calls and I'll call somebody up and be like, hey man, like, I got this going on. Like, can you help with this? And it just reminds me that, hey, we have people here to help, because that's what it is. There's nobody teaches you. I mean, I took entrepreneurship in high school. I never went to college for any of this stuff. I did 1 year at community college and realized it was kind of not for me. I didn't want to spend my time spending money. I wanted to go make it. But they don't teach you how to do this. Nobody teaches you how to run a business. Nobody teaches you how to be a leader, just like nobody really teaches you how to be a dad or a husband, right? You can have role models, you can have people you admire and look up to, but nobody teaches you how to do it. So we're all figuring this out as we go. I tell my team all the time, one of these days when I tell you that I have no idea what I'm doing, you're going to actually believe me. Like, I don't. You know, Bill, you've never done what you're doing today. You've never done tomorrow what you're going to be doing tomorrow. Nate, you've never done next year what you're going to be doing next year. So we're all just learning as we go. But the fact that we have that group, that foundation, that network that surrounds us and pushes us all like a big old freaking wave together, you know, it kind of makes you unstoppable. I mean, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but there hasn't been a company in TCS that has gone down, like has lost revenue or downsized or things like that. You know, at least not unintentionally. Some people have restructured their businesses or things like that for growth, but there's never been anybody who's like, man, I'm just suffering. I can't grow my business. But it's because we have a group and we have a momentum building up and going places that you can't avoid it. So it's
Couldn't agree more.
Mic drop moment. Mic drop moment. Clip that right there. That's it. Nah, I love it, bro. It's you're spot on. I mean, everything what you said about the group and everything. It's everybody's chasing each other. Everybody's there to help each other. Everybody's there to make each other better and take care of each other too. If somebody's struggling, there's always somebody that can be reached out to pick you up too. It's a very tight knit group. We get new people in quite a bit now, and they fit right in. They join right up, and they become a part of it. And you know, even in the little circles that we do, meeting the new people in there, it's just like boom, you just roll, you just start talking. It's like, hey, how are you, this and that, what's your business, blah blah blah. It's like you've known each other for a while. It's crazy. So but love it, man. Nate, you got anything else?
That's it, man. That was good. It was a banger. Where can people find you, Daniel?
all the social media stuff, the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Yeah, it's all on there.
What's the handle?
Instagram is Daniel J. Wright 1, first name, middle initial, last name 1, and then Facebook and LinkedIn is just Daniel Wright. So
Awesome.
then,
Daniel 1, the only one.
That's right.
And check it out. He's got a big announcement dropping on Saturday, the day after this podcast drops. So definitely tune in.
Fortunately, we didn't get to hit on it.
Check it out. Well, we
that
already
just
know
means we have to have another podcast, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring them back
on.
on. We'll be bringing them back on. No, man, this has been awesome. We really appreciate your time coming on. Obviously, we definitely will have you on again in the future too, man. But I know Nate's checking his phone here because his wife's about to have a baby any moment. Right, Nate?
Actually, I mean, yes, but I also do really need to take a leak right now. So,
so that's why he's doing it. Okay. All right. Thank you all for listening. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. We will see you guys on the next episode.